Who's hotter, Mary or Lavinia? Mary, I guess.
Just don't pull already.
The last of the soldiers and the equipment leave Downton Abbey, and the home finally returns to its former self. Almost everybody in the family is happy to see this change except Sybil, who now feels she has no purpose apart from dressing up and paying calls. Tom had promised to take her away from all of this if she wanted, but Sybil asks for more time before starting a romantic class war that could scandalize Yorkshire. Cora and Robert are falling apart faster than Thomas's black market career. More on the disaster later. With the whole convalescent home thingy to take care of, Cora wasn't giving Robert all the attention he was asking for, and now Robert finds Cora's treatment of Matthew irritating. It was Cora's idea to invite Lavinia over after Matthew explicitly told her not to come back. Cora knows that Matthew cannot have kids anymore, and since she wants grandbabies, she's doing all she can to ensure Mary and Matthew do not get back together. And now that the war is over, Cora also wants Matthew booted out of Downton, and instead of talking to Cora properly about how he's feeling, he falls into the arms of a Jane Morsum. After Ethel was fired, a new maid, you guessed it, Jane Morsum, was hired in her stead. She looks like a much younger Cora, which by the way is an amazing casting choice. It shows that Robert definitely has a type. Robert and Jane start getting closer and closer, and now that the war is over and all the soldiers have left, Thomas should really be packing it up and getting out of the abbey. He's already found something to do. The food rationing is driving everyone insane, and Thomas gets the idea to go into the black market for food from
Old Ma Patmore.
I'm stealing that. He finds a supplier, sets up everything, and even hooks old Ma Patmore up. Matthew is still rolling around in his chair because his legs don't work, but he starts feeling something. Dr. Clarkson had told him that he'd never walk again because his spine was permanently damaged, and so not only his false hope for himself or anybody else, he decides to keep it hush-hush until...
My God.
Dr. Clarkson explains that he was in fact wrong about the diagnosis and Matthew can definitely learn how to walk again. Everybody is thrilled and Matthew makes the announcement during dinner to marry Lavinia. Violet takes note of Mary's expression at the announcement.
Isn't that excellent news? Just excellent.
And she goes to meet Matthew to talk to him about it. She tells her that Mary is very much in love with him and asks him if he could love Mary again. Matthew tells her that he could not and would not throw Lavinia over, especially after she agreed to take care of him to the end of his days with no promise of marriage or children. Violet's rebuttal goes something like this. Who's hotter, Mary or Lavinia? Mary, I guess.
Just don't pull already.
Major Bryant's parents are invited to Downton so they can remember the useless, the good-for-nothing son who is the... Anyways, where was I? Right, so the Bryants are invited and Ethel asks Mrs. Hughes if she could meet the Bryants and show them their grandchild and ask for help. Mrs. Hughes tries to get a moment alone with Mrs. Bryant, but it never happens. She asks Ethel to go back, but Ethel runs upstairs to show them what they need to see, and this is their reaction.
What proof have you? Charles was the father who would never responsibilities, never.
It should have been no surprise that these were the kind of people who raised a good-for-nothing son of a bitch. But it was. Sybil finally makes a decision to run away with Tom and they sneak off in the night. Mary gets suspicious and she finds a letter Sybil's written explaining what she did. Mary, Edith and Anna find the inn they're staying at and Mary convinces her sister not to elope and asks her to complain to their parents before doing something this major. Sybil agrees and she returns home with her sisters. Daisy and Mrs. Patmore use Thomas's ingredients to make a cake for Matthew and Lavinia's wedding and it is awful. Turns out his dealer sold him shit and I can't say I feel bad. Thomas has been a major asshole to everybody this season, so I can't say I sympathize. Lavinia and Matthew's wedding is just a few days away and the house is being decorated from top to bottom. Matthew's walking with a cane now so he won't have to roll down the chapel to get married. Matthew and Lavinia aren't the only ones making plans for a wedding. Tom and Sybil are also trying to find a way to let her family know all about the relationship and Sybil finally invites Tom to come over to Downton to break the news to her family. He'd given up his job as a chauffeur and is now working as a journalist. Robert absolutely loses his mind.
I won't allow it. I will not allow my daughter to throw away her life.
Violet is stunned, but nothing is going to change Sybil's mind and she stands firm in her decision despite Violet and Robert's repeated attempts to dissuade her.
I will not give him up.
Robert even tries to pay Branson off to leave Sybil, but Tom just gets disgusted. Cora isn't actually very upset and kind of accepts it, explaining that's just how Sybil is. You know who's even more upset than the family by Tom and Sybil's engagement? Carson. I think this should be official. Carson and almost all the other butlers we see in the series are the biggest snobs. Episode 6 ended with a shot of Vera lying dead on the floor and we learn she's committed by consuming poison, and the last person she saw was Bates. We know Bates would not kill anybody, but everything surrounding her death is still suspicious. At first, Bates assumes that she just did it, but then realizes that Vera would have had to purchase the poison and taken it home. The problem? Bates remembers he bought rat poison months back and he assumes that's what she used. Anna presumes that Bates will be hearing from the police, and she tells Bates that they have to get married so he becomes her closest family member, and so they get married in a wedding registrar and they become the Bates couple. The Bryants write to Mrs. Hughes asking if they could meet Ethel and baby Charlie after the whole fiasco at lunch. They all meet at Downton and Mr. Bryant makes an offer. He and his wife would take baby Charlie in and they would concoct a story that his father was married and died in the war and his mother succumbed to the Spanish flu. This would mean that Ethel would be entirely removed from her son's life. She thinks about it and refuses to take their offer and leaves. A few days before the big wedding, people start dropping like flies. Carson falls ill, Cora falls ill, and even Lavinia. All three of them have Spanish flu. And although it doesn't look too bad for Carson, it keeps getting worse for Cora and Lavinia. O'Brien stays up day and night to take care of Cora, all to lighten the load of her guilt. While the flu keeps knocking people out in the Abbey, Mary and Matthew dance away. They dance and they talk about their failed romance. Matthew even brings up that conversation he had with Violet, and he complains about how he can't leave Lavinia even if he wanted to.
The brush off when I was well again, well, I couldn't, could I? Much I might want to.
They kiss and Lavinia catches them red-handed. She does not call them out, she's too nice for that, but she says this.
Don't ever let me be a nuisance. Don't ever let me get in the way, please.
Robert isn't much better than his daughter, and while his wife is lying in bed, hacking herself to death, Robert and Jane are about to bang. They're interrupted before they begin, and Robert realizes what he's doing is wrong and stops it. Jane understands that things have gone too far, and she hands in her notice. Thomas becomes unusually obliging after the con, and he starts groveling to Mr. Carson, begging him to give him a job. Carson isn't very sympathetic, and you see, this is where being nice would have paid off.
Just trying to be helpful.
It's wonderful what fear can do to the human spirit.
Thomas gets lucky and his chance comes when many servants, including Carson, fall ill and they have no choice but to hire him back. Lavinia calls Matthew to talk to him and she tells him that she cannot marry him. She tells him she saw and heard what he and Mary said and did, and she says she won't force him to marry her. Matthew tries to protest, but Lavinia shuts him down and asks him to leave. That night, Cora and Lavinia take a turn for the worse, and although Cora manages to get through, Lavinia passes away. The funeral takes place and everything, and once the family and servants return home, Bates is arrested for the murder of his wife. Lavinia was really nice and I was actually sad to see her go, even though I wanted Mary and Matthew to end up together. I don't think I'm the only one who holds this opinion, but all three swires we hear of were plot devices used to advance old, new, and current plot lines with little to no effect on their character.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
The whole point of Lavinia as a character was to create tension between Matthew and Mary in season 2 and act as an obstacle that would prevent them from rekindling their relationship. When she conveniently dies, not only does she clear the path for Mary and Matthew to get back together, she also saves Downton's future as a whole. More on that in season 3. Her father Reggie Swire is written just like her. We barely see this guy, and when he dies, that one episode after his daughter, he becomes Downton's greatest benefactor. All of this in season 3. And lastly, her uncle Jonathan Swire just existed to be a kind of sword that hung over Lavinia's neck, waiting to be dropped at any moment. This I could more or less accept because he's a background character who shows up for the Marconi Scandal special and nothing else. Let me know what you all think about the Swires. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more videos. Check out my other videos if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.